Morning, Commissioners. Can you all hear me? Hello?
Everybody can keep you asleep.
Okay, Commissioners. Dan Urban's asking you if you can hear it.
Do these have a problem hearing me?
Okay, hold on, Dan. There's a bit of
As far as this way you go.
Try it now, Dan.
Everyone hear me on the board, on the commission?
Yeah.
Chairman Sanchez, can you give me a quick shout out? Okay,
Got the volume all the way up.
my volume's too low? Well, I just want to make sure that you all can hear me when in case I need to interject or anything gets out of hand, not that they will.
Okay, that's better, man.
Okay, we can hear you, Dan.
Okay, very good.
Give you a couple minutes, okay? Perfect. Yeah, we can do that.
I knew it was going to be a 1 point gorilla rather than 2
That's 2 points. 2 points. Five. Welcome all to Municipal Racing Commission. Today is
Recording in
Thursday.
progress.
welcome all to the Mexico State Racing Commission. Today is Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. It's 9 a.m. and get ready to start. Roll call, please.
David Hossie Sanchez,
Yes, here.
Billy Smith,
Yes,
John Buffington,
here.
Margaret Branch,
Here.
Robert Petrie,
Here. The allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's move on to approval of the agenda. Everyone read it? Second, Buffington. Okay, got it. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Wait, approving of the minute. Any change to the minute? No, we're all right. Everything's all right, everything's all right. Yep. So, Mrs. Smith. Second, Buffington. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion to support. Okay, we'll move on to agency director.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Izzy Trejo, Executive Director of the New Mexico Racing Commission. Thank you everyone for joining us here today. And, looks like the change in date and location didn't confuse anyone. Turn out here this morning. But I've seen it's been a year since we last met with all the drama that's going on in the industry. I'll touch on that later. But I certainly just want to discuss some of the bright side of our industry over the past month. And I can't help but speak of the turnout that came out to Sunland Park for Sunland Derby Day 2024. It was reported that we had under 15,000 race fans attended. I can attest that the place was jam-packed. Despite all the traffic and construction on Interstate 10, getting into the racetrack had been stopped, but none of the race fans come to enjoy a fantastic day under fantastic weather. Despite the short field, every so it's over a little over 3.1 million for the card. Sunland Derby itself handled over $1 million, which is did have 8 horses in there, so it stimulated quite a bit of betting, and it was a pretty wide open race for the most part. So it's great to see that. That being said, certainly want to give some compliments to Sunland Park management for handling that big a crowd. Things seem to be very smooth there. Staff they handle at that facility. Wait time for service and food and beverage from patrons. A lot of discussion, enforcement there that just concerned over what's happening within the industry. I'll touch on that later on the agenda. And to Sunland Park's track superintendent, George Moncrief. The track has been super phenomenal over there. With catastrophic numbers are going pretty good, below national average, I would say. So I know the track man is always the first guy that everyone points the finger at when there's catastrophic breakdown. I certainly think we should always reverse that when things are good. We certainly need to compliment him and his staff over there for keeping this track in very good racing condition. So I want to applaud him. I also want to compliment the New Mexico Racing Commission's veterinarians at Sunland Park, Dr. O'Sullivan and Dr. Stephen Day. Both by them, they have pre-race examined 100% of the horses that were aiming to participate at that race meet so far. And
I want to let you know, everyone know this is part of the mandate the governor gave us to take care of racing, and that's part of our process. That's one part. But I want to put on record that that's why we're doing this, and that's what I think we have to think of the horse. And she's right, and but I just want to put that in perspective.
A very good point, Chairman. It is important, and we certainly know when it comes to catastrophics, not any one entity should take all the credit for it being decreased, but they play an important part of that, as well as track superintendent, the horsemen that are sending out horses that are sound to run, so forth. So I just want to add that that is a performance measure for the agency too. Percentage of horses pre-race examined. It's a breath of fresh air to have those two vets over there that love their jobs, care about the horses and the horse racing industry. They are currently creating best practices for our vet program, which has been in its infancy. And my hat off to these two professionals as I consider them pioneers as they get that vet program developed, which is something we want to keep intact for the future benefit the welfare of the animals that put on the show. I stand for any questions.
Question from the audience, any questions? Okay, move on to the Metro Horse Breeders. Mary, are you here?
Good morning, Mary Barber, New Mexico Horse Breeders. Go over my reports for Sunland Park. In their first 23 days through February 11th, Sunland Park has run 87 New Mexico bred races. Of those, 36 were thoroughbred overnights, 37 quarter horse overnights, 5 quarter horse trials, 5 thoroughbred stakes, and 4 quarter horse stakes. The contributions to those races from the New Mexico horse breeders was $847,000. This is $37,000 less than in 2023. They are running an average of 3.79 restricted New Mexico bred races per day, and they're plus 18 for the 3 a day. For the average field size of the restricted New Mexico bred overnight races, the thoroughbreds are averaging 8.31 horses per race. The quarter horses are averaging 8.87, and the combined average field size is 8.59. For New Mexico breds running in open overnight races in their first 15 days, 166 New Mexico breds ran in open overnight races, and of those, 45 came in first, second, or third. That's 28%. There were 19 thoroughbreds and 26 quarter horses, and the New Mexico horse breeders contributed $41,980 to those purses. And that completes my reports. Do you have any questions for me?
I got a question, not really relevant to the report. How many members does Metro Breeders Association have?
Well, it changes throughout the year. We accept memberships through, the whole, right now I can tell you, I can look it up for you. At the end of 2023, we had over 1,200 members. For 2024, we have a total of 862 members at this time.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Move on. Okay, Commissioner Buffington, can you take some full session, please?
I can. I move that the commission enter into executive session to discuss pending litigation, licensing matters, and for deliberations in connection with legal proceedings that is identified under item number 7 of the meeting agenda in accordance with NMSA 1978 sections 10-15-1H, 1, 3, and 7 of the Open Meetings Act.
Commissioner Smith.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in closed session.
Recording
Denise, can you hear me?
It's Izzy, Daniel.
Okay. Hey, I adjusted my microphone. Is my voice? I apologize for sounding
A
like
lot
Yeah,
clearer.
there you
Yes, sir.
go.
parents in closed session. I think I fixed the problem now.
Yeah.
I think we got you.
Good description. That was on point.
I think that's what Richard said to me. So that's his joke.
Yeah. All right, we're going to mute
All
back.
right.
Thanks, Dan.
Recording in progress.
Open session.
My apologies. Good morning. How are you this morning? Good, good.
So, ready to go?
Ready, Denise?
I'm ready.
Then bring it to an open session.
Honorable Commissioners, we're back in open session, and I hereby swear and affirm that the matters discussed in the closed executive session were only those matters listed on the agenda, and those were legal updates and information. No decisions were made. Thank you, Honorable Commissioners.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to start out number 8, unfinished business annual action items. Young lady, you've got the floor. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. Good morning to you, and thank you. Okay, I apologize. My name is Amber. I am the CFO for the New Mexico Racing Commission. And I'm here to talk to you today to basically also discuss with the industry and inform them of some information that we feel is very crucial that, you know, everybody knows what may be coming. Before I get into that, let's take a few steps back. And let's talk about Senate Bill 336. Senate Bill 336 is you may or may not be aware of, was passed in April of 2023. That bill was basically signed on an emergency basis by the governor to assist the industry with the payments of HISA and jockey exercise rider insurance. Now that is a tremendous assistance that was given to our industry. It basically allowed for, the gaming money of 1.2% to be set aside, and also to basically assist with all those payments. Okay, so instead of that money reverting to general fund, it was given to the industry in order to help cover those particular expenditures. Now, with the passing of that Senate bill, there came a few issues. One of them being that the bill did not address the usual items that are necessary in order to, one, create a fund for that particular purpose. The fund did not establish whether it was reverting or non-reverting. Excuse me, reverting and revolving.
Would you explain that?
Yes.
A little bit,
So
reverting, non-reverting?
Yes, Ms. Commissioner. Basically what I mean by reverting or non-reverting and revolving is that reverting means that unless a bill particularly states that money goes back to the general fund. So if it states that, our general fund is a reverting fund, that means as of June 30th, the end of our fiscal year, that money gets reverted back to Santa Fe DFA so that they can repurpose it again the next fiscal year. So if it is non-revolving, basically it means that fund does not, the savings that we generate, let's say in FY23, that money does not go back to the general fund. It stays and it revolves kind of like a revolving door, and it can be used again in FY24. So the agency, given all this information and for being that it was signed as an emergency basis in April, we were asked to fix Senate Bill 336 in FY24. Because the state fiscal year, so what I mean by FY23, 24, I apologize, please stop me if you have questions, but FY23 began on July 1st of 22 and it ends on June 30th of 23. So that is FY23. So Senate Bill 336 was signed in FY23. So we got a few months worth of revenue that was collected in 23 to generate a fund balance. So we had a fund balance of a little over $500,000 for FY23. Now, DFA LFC asked our agency, or tasked them, shall I say, tasked the agency with fixing Senate Bill 336 in FY24 in the current legislative session that just ended. So our agency went through, I believe you guys have this document. This is a copy of Senate Bill 336. However, as Richard is holding up there to the side, you do see some language highlighted in yellow. These were the changes that DFA LFC requested us to change in this year's legislative session. The agreement was that the commission could budget the money in FY24 as long as the commission fixed the highlighted language that you see. Now, by fixing, so everybody knows that does not have this sheet in front of them, that meant establishing this fund as a non-reverting revolving fund. So basically, any money that we generated in 23 would be kept for use in FY24. The commission also requested that it formally be put into language that we establish a fund, because the Senate bill did not address any kind of fund establishment, separate accounts, separate interest bearing, anything like that. So the commission established a fund in the state general fund, or under the president, called the Jockey Exercise Rider Insurance Fund. Has its own fund, has its own everything. It's separate from appropriation that we receive as an agency. The other thing that we were asked to do is to have the ability to basically use that fund balance. And so with that, we have to, increase bar and budget authority. And so we wanted to ensure that the agency had proper authority, not only to collect the revenue and put it into the established fund, but also expend the revenue.
And may I add this, that this isn't part of our budget. I just want that clear because a lot of people think it's part of our budget and it's not. We're just caretakers of this money that we were assigned to be caretakers of this, and make sure it is properly distributed and properly spent. And that's all we do. Nothing to do with our budget. I just want everyone to know this because I've heard rumors that it's part of our budget. It's not. Nothing to do with our budget. They wanted that clear.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, you are correct. It is not part of our budget. Now, in FY25 request that just got approved by this legislative session, we were asked to request a budget because in FY24, the bill was passed so quickly. We did not have a budget established. Nothing of that nature got done. So that was part of our homework, was to go back and request a budget, which we did. Our budget increased by $3 million for that request, and that was granted and approved with this session. It's now on the governor's desk for line veto, as you do know. So, I mean, at this point, we can say we're almost, guaranteed that part of the budget, almost, we would. So back to this fund, and basically where the issues may be coming up. So in FY23, DFA, LSC met with our agency and they told us, one thing is to get this bill fixed so that way that we could put in there the important components of the ability to spend the money and be able to collect it. Now, I understand some of what we've heard that may not be the intent of this bill. The intent was maybe to have it get into the tracks. We don't know. In all honesty, from the meetings that we have heard, right now, nobody is really clear to have the authority to collect the revenue and expend it. That will that is something that we're trying to find out at this point in time, because in order for me to continue to pay insurance and HISA payments from this fund, I need to have authority. And at this point in time, I do not have that authority. I was granted temporary authority by our oversight agencies until we could get this fixed. Now, we submitted this language to get it fixed. I do not know what happened to it. I do not know if it got heard. I don't know what happened. But the language did not make it to Senate Bill 336. It never got to see the light of day. So that being said, right now we have Sunray coming up. I have enough money to pay for the insurance for Sunray Park, which is about $500,000, and that's about it at this point in time. So what this basically means for the industry is, one, who is going to be taking care of this, because I am not sure at this point in time that this agency has authority to collect the revenue. We have oversight capabilities, but also, two, it doesn't state how the tracks are required to set up the fund, whether it be a separate account, interest bearing, kind of like we went back with a 20%. So this is where we need a little bit of assistance. And we sent out various emails to a lot of our oversight agencies, and they're telling us we're in a pickle. And I have to agree with them. We are in a pickle. Because until I get sufficient authority to bump up my POs to be able to spend the money that I'm collecting from each one of the tracks, I cannot extend it. I don't have the authority. And that brings into question, should I even be collecting the revenue? Those are all valid questions at this point in time. And we're trying to get those answered. We're working with DFA. We have put in various calls to LFC. And nobody so far has been able to give us news. So with that, I stand for any questions we have.
What you're telling us, after someone's over with, everything's up in the air.
It is, especially Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Yes, for insurance especially, yes. As I mentioned, we established a budget of about $2 million. We maxed out the POs to get us through half of the year, as was the agreement. Then the other half of the year, the agency was going to request a bar once this bill was correct. Well, I can't submit a bar right now because I don't know who has authority to touch this. Since it was not corrected, we did not say that the agency had oversight. To my knowledge, and I'm no attorney, but I can, we can definitely defer to Richard and we can see what he says about it. I don't know if the tracks do. So this all basically goes back to intent of the bill. The intent of the bill was to assist the industry in making these payments and taking that money. And that is an amazing intent. We are so thankful.
Concerned about your welfare. You think you'll get trouble if you continue collecting. Is that right?
Yes, the welfare of the agency. It's not, by all means, it's not just my position, but also the agency. And I'm sure that, some of the tracks will indicate that it was never the intent of the bill for the commission to have control of it. So
So who wants control of it?
That's
The track on it? Yeah. Is that right? Is that right?
Don Cook with the Downs, that's the first I've heard about it.
Max Moore with the Sunray, that's the first I've heard about it.
First of all, about it. So the tracks don't want control of it.
But the thing is, we were assigned control over this. We didn't ask for it, but they said, you are all going to control this. It's not your money, but you're going to control it. You're going to make sure it's rightly spent and spent right.
yes,
But then, right now, we don't have the authority to collect it. We don't have the authority to control it, nothing. So that's where
We
I
have
am.
the authority.
We don't. We don't. No, we don't. And that's what this language came, taking care of it. And
When
they didn't have it.
The language is in here.
Well, they never did make it.
Just make it.
No,
no, sir.
that's what we're saying. They never did make it sanitized. Well, it made it sanitized, but never got in a session. It had to be done in a session. And it was never done. Because everyone had different views of this, how it should be done. I think that's what happened. We give this, we gave them this verbiage. And they had different views, but we'll just do this or this, that, but that was, nothing was done. So it's up in limbo right now. So after the summer meet, we're gonna be in trouble. Someone's gonna be, we're all the fix. What's the fix?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, if I may also throw in there, some language was put into House Bill 2. And basically that language indicates that it can use fund balance. And I know a lot of people, even at oversight agencies, were under the impression that this language that is in House Bill 2, for us to be able to use fund balance, one of it has $500,000 and then the other language for FY25 has no restriction. However, that is not a fix-all to our problem because the issue still lies that the language was not put into this bill right here, Senate Bill 336, to say that this fund is not reverting and it is revolving. So traditionally, a bill will say any amounts remaining shall revert to general fund. If it does not indicate contrary to that, then it is assumed that that money that's left in that fund at the end of the year will revert to general fund. Now, I have 500,000, as I mentioned a little bit above, in fund balance. Should I be keeping that money? I mean, it's all fine that House Bill 2 says I can use fund balance in 25. However, this fund is not designated as a revolving, non-reverting fund.
But House Bill 2 is more about budget, isn't it?
Yes,
That's a budget bill. That's how all the agencies get budget.
yes,
This is not a budget thing, is what I'm saying, not what I gather. This here is not a budget. 336 is not a budget. So how can House Bill 2 have anything to do with this when this is not budget? Because House Bill 2 is about budgeting all these commissions and everywhere. That's what House Bill 2 is. And I don't see how House Bill 2 can govern this, since it has nothing to do with it.
Mr. Chair, you are 100% correct. we tried we were
I
told,
understand what
But
you're
it-
trying to do, but it didn't get done.
No, sir.
We sent it to the proper people in Santa Fe.
He doesn't answer my question.
And that's
What's the fix?
Huh? You don't know. Santa Fe has happened, and now that the legislature's over with, I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't know.
We got to depend on the people that are connected to politics.
Does it come from the legislative minds?
LFC and
DFA.
DFA. Well, he's the chairman.
Yeah.
But it's not him, it's the whole commission that makes the deal. So the whole, LLC does. So that's where we're at. And I don't know if the governor has to get involved here. I don't know how this works. I mean, I've never been to none of this works because you can't guess a bill that covered budget to oversee this is completely separate.
You're just referring to reverting just the budget bill.
Yes,
Okay.
because
But it's just that if you want to involve,
Yes.
that way it won't hold back into the general fund. But that was not taken care of. That's what we put down.
Who has the authority to extend that?
Jordan and maybe, LLC and DFA. The commission.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, it also would have been a good thing if the sponsor of the original bill, would have, I'm not sure if he knew about it or if he did not. But if we could have gotten, this information to him timely, I think that would have helped us to definitely, say, it's a great bill. Don't get me wrong, by any means. I mean, it helps the industry tremendously by allocating monies that maybe might have to come from, the people that are partaking. I don't know. That's up to that's in the book.
Well, what might have to happen, I don't know. No one does nothing. In order to keep racing going, the racetracks will have to get money out of their pocket, pay the insurance. I don't know. What else is there? Right? Anything? I don't know. I don't know.
We're gonna have to get people like Patrick involved and Georgina involved and a couple other people involved and get it fixed.
Well, Jordan Newman's had this and he knew nothing with it.
Maybe we sit down and explain to them and we can change. I mean, I don't know the answer. All we can do is.
The thing is that's why we have this an open meeting. This is part of the record. And they can see what is happening here. That's why we're doing what we're doing. This is part of the record now. It's an open meeting.
But we have no authority to do anything with this. That's the commission, correct?
And do nothing. Because all we're just taking care of, we're taking care of this
For the
for
custodians.
for the custodians for the tracks. That's all. Nothing more.
And honorable commissioners, there's a little more wrinkle here. As Amber mentioned earlier, last year, the legislature passed and the governor signed the changes to 336, which of course mandates that the tracks set aside the 1 2/10% of net take for the jockey insurance and HISA fees. So that is still good law. And so therefore the tracks still need to be taking that money aside. The problem, as Amber said, is because of the failure this year, can we expend that money?
Yeah, because we don't have the authority to right now. We don't. That's what I'm saying.
So that's the problem.
Yeah, they can tracks. If they are collecting, can they pay it out of that deal?
No, because the bill says that we have to do it.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Because that's what the bill says. And
Somebody's got to do it.
well, the thing is that we can't overset the bill. You can't do that. And the bill says this, but this is missing from the bill. Max, did you have something to say?
I did. Since we are the next track, after Sunland, it's going to affect us as
Right.
far as the payment of the jockey and outriders insurance. So my question is, can we possibly get something in writing from the commission to direct us on whether we send money in for you to hold and collect or not?
Oh, yeah, because that's what's the law. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, thank you for the question, Mr. Moreland, Sunray Park. We're going to lean heavily on the guidance of the LFC and the DFA right now. we have submitted some emails to have a in-depth conversation for the guidance that we can be permitted to function as we did in this current FY, rolling into FY 25. If you read nonverbal language, the crickets that we're hearing from both those agencies have indicated that this is a very touchy subject. And our concern is for the entire industry, the stakeholders, HISA funds. We passed this legislation in order to avoid starter fees from HISA, where every horseman that runs a horse has to pull money out of their pocket every time they get on a horse. And the tracks are any other covered person. And then the jockey and exercise rider insurance, that was a big adoption in the law because horsemen don't have to pay a full workman's comp because their exercise riders are taken care of by this. And then jockeys as independent contractors, I don't know that the racetracks are going to be the ones that have to pay all this. It could be spread throughout the industry. So this is why this is such a wild part of the situation, that it could move us back a lot.
Push on the seven, started. Well, whatever, it's something, I don't know what we need to say something to racetrack or someone, but someone's got to take care of this unless we get this language changed from Senate. They've got to change this. They have to go with our recommendation. She did a very, very good job of getting this to them and explaining everything, and they just didn't run with it.
What state that activity?
That's well, then this that we're the pickle we're in.
And the traction on that starts.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Let's see if we get the conversations that our analysts. So we have a new analyst with things, and we're looking for a conversation. Who does she work with? The analyst works for the Department of Finance, and we called into the Legislative Finance Committee, our analyst there. It's been 2 weeks.
Yes.
And once again, we have not heard back from that lady. What's her name? The name is Ginger Anderson.
Yes.
Give me all those names, and I'll put all the people that are tied to that together and see if we can get something done. But sitting here, saying we can't never did it.
Well, the thing is, Billy, we're here explaining to the people in this room and the public what is going on, and we have to explain. We just can't sit on this. And that's exactly what we're doing. And whatever happens after this, well, that's a big plus, whatever it may be. But right now, we have to explain, we have to get this on record, what's going on. Bottom line.
Does the governor hold any authority to?
No.
It has to go through the committee. She can't.
I have no idea. I couldn't.
She did, and it's got to come to the authority, and
She's got executive
direct to give you the authority to spend.
Oh, it's hard to say. I don't know the law myself, so I'm not gonna say that. We don't know.
It's a pickle that we got.
But we'll see what happens now that it's out in the open. Now that it was brought up in public meeting and it's on record. Let's see what happens. This is a way to try to get this thing done. Yes, sir.
Steve Padunak, Sunray Park, just for the commission's information, our JOCS insurance with IOA is due sometime in late March, and it's going to be right around 60,000.
Okay.
So just for commission's knowledge, I'll throw that out.
But I mean, if it's due then or whatever, I mean, I don't know how it's going to happen, but like Commissioner Smith says here, maybe we have to charge starter fee. I don't know how this is going to work. I know the money's being collected, but we don't have the authority to disperse it or spend it or nothing. So that's where we're at. Once we get that, hopefully they'll take care of it. I don't know how this. I really don't know the inner workings of LLC and DFA, but they didn't do what they're supposed to do. They had different views of this.
Chairman,
No.
Chairman Sanchez, members of the board, Max Moreland, my boss, has told me to start passing the hat around, so.
Okay. You have a good boss, sir.
Just divide your debts into 60,000 and together.
Any other questions for Amber?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you so much, Amber. Good job.
Chair, I would continue to appoint Commissioner Smith to investigate and discuss the issue with the LLC and the FA and report back to the commission.
I'm sure this will be on our agenda.
Yeah, we gotta do something for it.
Well, we have to, I'm hoping to come back with a solution. Well, since they had all the stuff on the fix, this was the first step on doing their own stuff. That is going to be, discussion of Zia Parks 2023 race meet. Payment of purses.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was at the request of the commission at the last meeting to roll over. I've got Chris McElwain available by Zoom due to a conflict in schedule, speaking on behalf of Zia Park.
Okay. Dan Movement?
Yes, sir.
No, Mr. Mackerlin, can you say something so you can pop up to this?
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Really?
Thank you, Vice Chair and Commissioners. If you would allow me to provide some background and some context, I know that there was some issues with the issuance of purse accounts checks at the conclusion of our 2023 meet. I just want to, again, provide some facts and background just so everybody is aware, because I know there was some a lot of social media and a lot of accusations being thrown around, which I think were entirely incorrect. And I'd like to at least provide this information and certainly answer any questions that anyone might have. First and foremost, the Zia Park purse account was fully funded. The entire meet average balances in the Horseman's Bookkeeper account was over $3 million during the entire meet. So there was no issue that the account did not have funding. Secondly, the funds for the gaming purse funds, the parimutuel purse funds, which are separate and get transferred in to fund the purse account, were adequately funded, and all that funding was done in the required timeframes. And the use of the funds in regards to statutory and regulatory requirements were done in accordance with those. There is a requirement by the New Mexico Racing Commission to fund the purse account within 48 hours of the conclusion of the race. To clarify, that was done and is done. The amounts of the purse money earned is transferred within 48 hours of the race into the owner's or horseman's account. I think where the confusion with that lies is that does not mean that the person physically gets their money on that date. It's in their account. They can request at that time for that money to be withdrawn by making a request. But the money is there. That was covered. That was done. That is done on a regular basis. So we are in compliance with that rule. I believe that part of the issue with the issuance of checks, part of it came down to admittedly issues on our side from an operational standpoint. I believe there were items which I would call unforced errors on our side, which caused delays and confusions from getting those checks out on a timely basis. There were also several items that were outside of our control, which unfortunately reflected negatively upon us, but which we had no control over. But when made aware of it, we quickly reacted and acted on those issues. So if I can, again, just for background for people who don't know the process for the purses, as I again said, within 48 hours of the race, a horseman gets the funding in their account. That horseman can then make a request for a check for either the full amount or a certain amount of their balance. That can be done either in person at the horseman's bookkeeper office. The requests can be done by email or telephone. There is also a process that they can do it online to request a check. The requirement is that an individual does have to have a W-9 on file with the horseman's bookkeeper. And if everything checks out, the checks are issued in most cases the day of the request or by the next day. During the 2023 meet, we issued over 2,100 checks to horsemen. Approximately 50% of those were issued by the closing day of the meet on December 20th. Another 250 were issued by the end of December, and another 600 were issued by the end of January. As of today, there are approximately 43 accounts that have not been issued checks or dispersed money from the meet. Roughly half of those accounts are for races that are currently on hold by the Racing Commission. The other half, we are awaiting paperwork. We have reached out to the individuals. We are waiting for paperwork to verify the accounts and then release the money. Of those 46 accounts, that's approximately $450,000 of purse revenue. Approximately 300,000 of that is for the Racing Commission holds, which could be for disqualifications or pending drug positives. Once the Racing Commission clears those or adjudicates those matters, they will inform the track as to any redistribution of the purse money. And at that point, then the checks can be issued to the individuals. As I said, I think the issues that compounded during the race meet, causing a lot of the consternation with individuals in terms of getting their purse checks. One, the horsemen, before the end of the meet, they have to request their checks. At the end of the meet, we usually will have a window where they can request their checks. And if there's no request by usually the middle of January, the account is usually cleared out and those checks sent out. One of our issues was there has been a requirement for the past several years to have a W-9 form filled out every year to be on file. And if a current W-9 was not on file, the account was not released. That goes back to what I'm told to prior guidance given to the track to have those done on an annual basis. In further research, that does not appear to be the case that other New Mexico tracks follow, nor, quite honestly, a consistent standard at all the Penn racetracks, but it had been employed at ZIA. I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, but that was one major holdup in terms of the checks being sent out on a timely basis, or people anticipating that they would be sent checks and those not being issued. Another issue was in terms of staffing. We did have staffing issues in our bookkeeper and accounting offices in ZIA. A lot of that was due to COVID sickness, which actually took out 6 members of our accounting department between the end of the meet and mid-January. And because of individuals not all the individuals in the accounting department being trained specifically for Horseman's bookkeeper duties. That did hold up the ability for checks to be issued in a timely basis. We were also made aware of issues with several banks. Both Wells Fargo is our bank that we issue the checks on, but we were made aware of issues where both Wells Fargo and other banks were either not accepting our checks or placing requirements on individuals to open up accounts to cash those checks, or placing limits on the amounts that could be cashed, or limiting mobile deposits. Once we were made aware of these issues, we did follow up immediately with the banks and with the individuals in question and rectified those issues. I can tell you that from the beginning of the meet till the end of the meet, we were not aware, or were not made aware of any issues like that. So we're not really sure why those all started happening post-meet. But as soon as we were made aware of those issues, they were addressed. We were made aware of selected issues. I'm aware of at least one where a check was returned by a bank to an individual, and we were not told why that was the case. We rectified the check for the individual immediately and paid any fees that were required. That the individual was penalized because of a return check. So we were obviously concerned about issues like that, but several of those items are outside of our control. But again, as soon as we learned of those, they were addressed and rectified. As of today, as I said, we have a minimal amount of checks that are still waiting to be sent out. I think we were proactive in getting and addressing any concerns of Horsemen once we were made aware of them. And I do want to make the commission aware that we have looked at several items that we do want to put in place for next year to make this process go smoother, both from our side and obviously from the Horseman side. We understand the accessibility and communication needs to be improved with that area with the Horseman's bookkeeper. We will be increasing the office hours for the bookkeeper, the availability both pre and post meet, and a commitment to responsiveness to the Horseman in terms of request and turnaround and acknowledgement when those requests are made. The W-9 issue, which I previously had mentioned, we are not going to require those to be updated on an annual basis. We will, anyone who has a current W-9 on file and has had an active account for the past 3 years, I would call an active account, if somebody raced at Zia Park within the past 3 years, that W-9 would be valid. They won't have to post anything. So that account we won't have to go through that requirement or hold up to disperse any checks. I'm made aware that the Encompass Horseman's bookkeeper system, which all the tracks in the state use, does have a function where the W-9s can be uploaded from any of the tracks in the state and shared, which we will try to utilize that more as well. Just to be clear, it is still the responsibility of the Horsemen or the individuals to make us aware of any changes on the W-9, change of address or anything along those lines. If it has incorrect information on it, it will get kicked back from the IRS. So obviously that's still a requirement, but we think that change in policy on the W-9 will help a great deal in terms of streamlining this process. And finally, we are looking at utilizing direct deposit. I believe possibly one or more of the tracks in New Mexico might be using it. We're starting a trial at one of our other racetracks later this month, and assuming that will go well, we plan to bring that direct deposit out to other racetracks owned and operated by Penn, including Zia Park. That will hopefully be, again, another process that will make the horsemen's accessibility to their accounts easier, transfers more direct, and on a more timely basis. So again, I apologize if there was, on behalf of Zia Park and Penn Entertainment, if these issues cause problems for any of the individuals, those issues that were in our control. We apologize for that. It's certainly not our intent. I think we are certainly going to make changes that will hopefully make this process go smoother and easier going forward.
Yeah, well said. Any questions? I just have a comment or two. It seems to me like bookkeeper access, this is not the first year that's been an issue. Okay, so I'm glad to hear once again you're going to address that, but it really needs to be addressed. As far as the W-9 issue was brought up last year, was brought up this year before the meet began, and I'm glad to hear that you're going to address that going forward, and the timely distribution of the checks to the people that wanted them. I mean, it's kind of like fundamental that we have to get that out to them. That's their livelihood, that's their income, and I appreciate hearing some of the things you're going to do and the new effort to make that smooth. But you're behind the eight ball a little bit. Just because year after year we seem to have some issues with Zia Park, not the other tracks, but with you all. And anyway, I hope you're successful this year, and if not, we'll be back with perhaps a heavier hand.
I am hopeful that will not be the case. And again, coming on the heels of what I think could be, I think everyone would agree was a successful meet on the track. In many ways, obviously, we don't want something like this to detract from that positive momentum. As I said, there are certainly several items that were in our control, which we can do better and should do better with. Several items that were outside of our control, which once we were made aware of, we did address and rectify. I appreciate the commission office, keeping us informed of any inquiries that they received. And as soon as those were received, I think we did act in a timely manner on those. So we appreciate the feedback, and again, we understand the importance of this to everyone involved in the industry.
Thank you, and I appreciate proactive. That's what you feel like the W-9s. Way ahead of time, you knew who didn't have one, even if your policy was you have to have a new one each year. And so a proactive approach, you mentioned that, and that's the way to go, is try to anticipate this stuff and deal with it in advance as opposed to at the end. So thank you. Any other questions? Questions, anyone? Okay, thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, no, it's on the agenda.
Honorable Commissioner, as you're well aware, is under the discussion we just had, there is on the agenda possible contemplated disciplinary action. I just wanted to bring that to the Commissioner's attention based on what we heard from Mr. McElrain, just so that basically we're following the agenda. We might want to ask Mr. AAG Rubin whether that in fact needs a motion and a vote either way.
To what?
To see whether, based on what you heard today, if the commission feels it needs to take notice of disciplinary action. And I'd like to hear AAG Rubin's opinion on whether the commission needs to vote on that one way or the other.
Thank you, Mr. Bustamante. Chairman Sanchez, members of the commission, there is no necessity for a vote either way to take action. If the board if the board feels like it wants to go into closed session before making a decision as to whether to take action, you certainly can still do that, even though it's not listed as a closed session agenda item. The Open Meetings Act allows you to go into closed session under 1015 1H 1 and 3 for any appropriate reason. But you do not need, if there's no further discussion, closed session or otherwise, you can simply let the matter pass without any kind of motion. And the record, the minutes will reflect no action taken.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have anything to add on this disciplinary action against Zia Park? Any?
It's a pass, like you said, pass.
Okay, I'm good with pass. Okay, that's what we got. We just want to know, if you have anything to add to it. So, all right, let's move on to C. Discussion on simulcasting.
Commissioners, Don Cook with the Downs
Can you step up here, Don, please?
I would like to address the commission.
Please come up.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Don Cook with the Downs and Albuquerque. I'm disappointed in a couple ways. We built our simulcast product from square one in the mid-'80s by taking the last 3 races from Hollywood Parks after the Downs, Santa Fe's races included, of course. Since then, we have taken every available signal that we can take. Signals from Australia, Dubai, Japan, South Africa. South Africa, one day we had to take South Africa for Christmas. Canada, and of course, all the U.S. tracks. We have been a business partner with the Horsemen, where all profits are split 50-50. And to see someone trying to harm our product, I believe in the letter I wrote to you on the second, I used the word sabotage. I apologize for using that word. I wish I would use the word harm, but
Same thing.
yeah, but I wouldn't apologize for using that word. I should have used the word harm. But to see someone or a group or an association try to harm our product is very disappointing. And second, the racing fan, now I have to explain to them what's going on. It seems like the fans never get a voice. And now they come to our track and can't watch or wager on their favorite track. And that, again, is very disappointing. And again, I'm not mad at any individual or mad at any group or an association. Is very, very disappointed that my assistant general manager, Beth McKinney, who, along with, I said this before, along with Art Johnson, built simulcasting in the state. In a way, it saved horse racing. Prior to gaming, our persons at the Downs and Albuquerque tripled all the other tracks versus due to simulcasting. And to see somebody want to tear something that we built up is very disappointing. And I don't know what to say. I would never believe we would got to this point, but we're here. And if anyone has any questions for me, I'm willing to answer any question you may ask.
Have you had any contact or any conversation with any individuals that have done this?
Yes, I have been in contact with a member of the a board that was formed that I had no knowledge of. As we know, we formed our own committee at the Downs at Albuquerque. Right. We had to have somebody that are eyes and ears on the backside to come to meeting
with issues we may have. On the horseman's website, it lists, a separate committee. And yes, I was contacted by one of the committee members on this committee that was formed.
Who was that on that?
Mr. Shauna Forge. And he was upfront with me and he said that, they were gonna get signals pulled. And,
He told you they're gonna get some.
yes, sir, he told me that they were gonna pull signals if this, problem with the, horseman commission, everybody involved was not resolved.
How many requests did you tell them? You got a timing of how many you were for?
His comment to me was, I believe, one a month.
So he stated to you that if this is not resolved, that group is gonna pull one jurisdiction every month.
That was what I was told by him. Now, he did offer to meet with, my ownership and myself. We felt, at that time that it was not in our best interest to meet with.
Okay, and this isn't a recognized group that you all have, right?
It's not the group that I formed, no, sir.
Yes, right. And the one you formed, it meets the criteria of the Racing Act?
Well, it says that represent the majority of the horsemen. They represented the majority of the horsemen that ran at our racetrack.
But it's the ones that you.
Correct. Okay. That's the big argument, I guess, is they don't represent the majority of the horsemen.
Well, that's
So they do represent the majority of the horsemen who run at my racetrack. Now, I have the list of mine. The movie members of Albuquerque that they voted on and appointed. 1, 2, 3, 3 of the people I did not know. Those phone numbers for these individuals are area codes out of the state of New Mexico. And
They're not running your track. The thing is, all I'm getting at is you follow the federal statutes of the Racing Act. That's what I want to get at. Because the people that you form on your track, they're the ones that have the move members there, right? Okay, and that was your job. That's what you did. So I don't know how these other people could come in and state, since they don't represent all the people working, that are in the track, I don't see how they could come in and do something like this, because the people, the people that you have there are the ones that run there. They're the ones that work there all the time. And I don't see how these other people come in and do that. I just don't get it.
this committee member who was upfront and honest with me, it was, no shock to me that the turquoise signal was pulled because, he was upfront and told me that they were going to do it. And, again, very, very disappointed that we're at this place right now.
Isn't that a extortion?
Basically call it. That's, because the thing is, see, that group doesn't represent the majority of the people on the track. That's the whole thing. And that's what the horse racing act says. You have to have, the group there has to be the ones that are running, that represent you, that represent the track. And this group that's doing this does not do that. You say there's people from out of state or whatever, you know who they are. They're not even registered on that side. They're nothing.
They could be excellent people.
Yeah,
And I'm sure that
they're not on your backside, is what we're saying.
I do not know these people, and
You didn't sign installed or nothing like that.
I do not,
And the horse racing act says that they have to be people.
I wrote a
The
letter.
backside that are running there.
I wrote a letter to you on February 2nd. The letter stated, it started off with, if we want to maintain our current purse structure, we may have to reduce 2 days and 2 races on the weekend. My letter was, if you want to. And they took that letter as a threat, borderline personal attack on me, which, you know, I've been in this business 35 years. And no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, there's going to be someone out there that like it. So I understand that. Again, just very disappointed that we're in this position. And I hope it gets resolved. I hope it gets resolved soon. We all know the Derby is in question. I'll give you a quote from the Kentucky, Mr. Hiles. I shut it down. The New Mexico Racing Commission to circumvent Interstate Horse Racing Act. When the commission took it upon itself to go around federal law, then it will stand up to this forever. So
But we do that.
It puts the Derby in jeopardy. On Kentucky Derby Day, we consistently churn 7,000 people. It's a big event for us. It's our biggest day, bigger than the Live Day, bigger than British Cup. It's, I hope it doesn't happen. I pray it doesn't happen, but I don't know. Again, very disappointed.
That was Kentucky that said that?
This is the representative the next for the HBPA from Kentucky.
Yes, well, that's the thing, that you never did contact us to find out what's going on, because that's very intrusive. We never get to that.
And I did in the letter from the Portland to you, it says Mr. Cook doesn't understand how it works. That's debatable. The Churchill is not the one withholding the signal. No, it's not Churchill withholding the signal. It's ultimately Churchill flips the switch to send the signal to us. I do know the law and the act. My assistant basically wrote the damn thing, so. But this is where we're at. Again, it's been just.
Well, they're trying to blame us for something that they do, I'll tell you that right now. They're not doing it. Because you are following the Horse Racing Act.
Well, everything
And
I
that's what
say,
it calls for.
everything I say about this is going to be debated by the horsemen.
Well, let them debate,
And
and
everything-
everything, yes.
And
It says, the Interstate Horse Racing Act says certain things, and you abide by all those things. So I don't know what more they want.
well, I don't know if Reed also is going to come up and speak. I think
Yes,
this
they are.
went to this actually went to court, this subject. Exact same thing.
And the judge ruled on the behalf of Reed also that they did the same thing you did, got the majority of the horsemen there on that track. That's what they did. And that's what you did. And the judge already ruled on that. So I don't know what these other people, they don't have a leg to stand on as far as I know.
Well, the commission is going to get proactive. Everything we can possibly do within the law. Get all this straight down.
But as long as we're practicing the tracks, this is all track and horseman thing. As long as you practice, and do it right, the way it's supposed to be done, there's no question because the judge already ruled on this. So we go on from there.
These actions, you know, just so everybody knows, these actions take away purse money. Because, you know, they got a cut of that, that goes away from these tracks, so.
It takes away purse money. It takes away money to fund their insurance, the horseman's insurance. It's an average, I think last year we paid into that fund $76,000. The Kentucky Derby week alone, we paid $4,600 into that insurance policy for the horsemen.
Right. So my point was the action hurts all the people in the racing community because the money that goes away is no longer going to be there.
Yeah,
And that's the reality of that.
you know, if it's heading towards being totally, keep on these signals, it's gonna head towards totally being subsidized by game. And right now, and it also does extremely well live racing. Yeah, I think that to keep this sport solvent and alive and pulse, you still gotta have live racing, you gotta have simulcasting. But if we get to the point where just as long as those slot machines run and everything's great, no, I think it's a bad way to go. I hear that a lot I'll say it, I hear from horsemen all the time. Just as long as those machines are going, everything's gonna be fine. Well, that's where we're heading.
All those threatening letters that you get, who signs them?
This letter to you referencing my name several times. Was signed by Mr. Paul Jensen. And I do not know this individual. I'm sure he's a good person. I know that the horseman I dealt with in the years.
So he's liable as well, right?
Chairman or Commissioner, I know that the horseman that I dealt with the Downs at Albuquerque for years would never write a letter about me like this. I think the Downs at Albuquerque has done a lot for the horsemen. My ownership has spent a lot of money on improving the facility. When we built our new casino, their purses went up 100%. I've opened my barn area for training every day since 1999 all the way up to 2023. That's 8,000 days that water trucks and barrels went around our racetrack. Done everything I think I can do, and for the horsemen, I'm not up here promoting the Downs out here for us, but
I have been horseman friendly, very.
If I haven't been, anybody on that Zoom call can step up right now and debate that. But I think we've done everything possible. But going back to harm our simulcast product that we built and take a lot of pride in is disturbing and disappointing.
But the way I take it, this group of horsemen, they're not even at the Downs. There might be one or two out of the whole committee that's at the Downs.
Commissioner, these people have made or run horses at the Downs at Albuquerque. The names aren't familiar with me. They could correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recognize the names on this committee. I do recognize 4 of them. I do actually know Mr. Alfortis through phone calls. I believe I might have met him in the barn area one time. For the other individuals, I don't recognize their names and I've never met them. Okay. And again, I'm saying they may be excellent people.
Yeah, and that's beside the point. The thing is, the people that are on the committee now, they're the ones that have been there and been supporting the Downs all this time, right?
I have a good mix of quarter horse owners, thoroughbred trainers, breeders on our committee. We communicate every single day during our live race meet. I talk to one of those 5 committee members at least every day during our meeting. And they're not phone calls telling me I'm doing a great job either. They're phone calls telling me you better straighten this up, straighten that up, or let's work this out. But yeah, I have a great relationship with our committee, and that's where we're at.
Seems like you're doing your job well. It's just, we have outside interference on this thing. Well, that's what doesn't mention working.
Any questions? Yeah.
And they back accurate or not?
Accurate. Commissioner, as Mr. Cook well put it, this man, I can attest, is one of the most horseman-friendly GMs that I've experienced in my time in racing, and I can sense his disappointment in what has happened. The business model that Down portrays, and no, one point Don said that he feels like he's out there long, but I assured him that, the whole industry is affected by this, and can only unite and pursue forward to rectify this. From the commission standpoint, this affects the equine test fund as well. Absolutely depend on that simulcast, and the Downs generates a lot of money for the racing commission through their simulcast wagering, day in, day out, from morning till night. They're there with hundreds of TVs and people attending the races every day of the week. So it's but I feel bad for the fans. They're the ones that they're not even in this fight, but they're the ones that are going to be significantly affected once big races roll around, big events throughout the country. And if they're not able to wager on it, we just push that business away to the different venue. I'm with Don, they're disappointed, disheartening.
Anyone else have anything to add to this?
I'll step away.
Chairman, I would like to speak. Real briefly. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm the general manager at Sunrise Park and Casino. I'm the new kid on the block compared to Don. He's been in this business a lot longer. He's had many years of supporting the horse racing industry. I've only been involved the last couple of years. But I can't understand the thought behind this. It just makes no sense, this Horsemen's Benevolent Protective Association, which we have received correspondence from, that has cut our simulcast signal from 5 different states. You all have already discussed the effects on many groups, but overall, our fans are going to be the ones that are hurt the most. And I think if we ignore our fans, we're making a grave mistake. It's a nonsensical ploy. It just doesn't make any sense for horse racing industry anywhere, whether it's New Mexico or wherever else it is. I don't think that the different states that have cut off our signals are going to benefit from this either. It's a loss of revenue from them. We can't bet on their trials. But if we lose the Kentucky Derby this year, it's going to affect, of course, our daily business. It's a big business for us. It's a big day for us in Farmington. Not as big as Albuquerque. We don't have 200 people on a Saturday in our simulcast area, but our simulcast area has grown in 2023 over and above previous years. Last year, as you know, this year also, Sunray is not a HISA track. We transmit our signal within the state of New Mexico and also internationally. Our handle last year, whenever we were transmitting our signal outside the country, we increased our off-track betting by 200%. Actually, it's a little bit more. We may have to do more of that. I don't know what the solution is going to be yet, but I will say this to something that bothers me about this whole thing. The horsemen that I have talked to in our area, they don't know what's going on. I had to explain to them that the horse race, the simulcast signal was cut off. They had no previous understanding or notification from the horse HMA horse race, New Mexico Horsemen's Association. They have not, they're members, but they haven't been notified of what's going on. I had to explain to them, we may not have the Kentucky Derby. You can't come out to Sunray and bet on the Kentucky Derby as it stands right now. And they had no clue. I don't believe that this, organization or the people involved in is doing this represents the majority of the Horsemen's Association in the state of New Mexico. I know that if they did, everybody would know what's going on, but they don't. So, I will say this, you know, we plan to have another safe race meet in Sunray this year. That's one of our main objectives. And that goes for the horses, the riders, alike. In addition to that, we're going to look after our fans and all of the New Mexico horsemen that want to come to Sunray and help us achieve those objectives. They're welcome.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Max.
Members of the commission, Chairman Sanchez, Dan Rubin, because the commission has allowed what amounts to public comment on this item. Just before we move to the next item, I'd ask if there's anyone who is appearing virtually who wishes to make a comment. It would be an abundance of caution to allow that comment on this item.
I disagree with you. I think we need to continue over here.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Fred Heinrich from Sunland Park Racetrack. We have a live race day today, Justin back down in Sunland, and we have high selling property. So he wishes he could be here, but he can't. So we get the B team. When I hear Don Cook tell the story about what happened in the phone call, the first thing that came to my mind is what a terrorist organization would do. It's like we have a bunch of hostages and we're going to keep taking them out until you capitulate to our demands. And that is just wrong on a number of different levels.
Very well put.
It's been said by a number of people already, this is going to hurt the entire industry. The horsemen, the horsewomen, makes me wonder if they even know what their organization is doing and what they would think about it if they did. Sunland Park likes to take the high road. We do our best to do the right thing at all times, but we are not going to negotiate with terrorists.
Thank you so much. So,
Commissioners, Rick Hall from Rio Downs Racetrack, and I have with me from there of what it takes starting now to get ready for the Kentucky Derby. And many of you are business operators, you know, you can't wait till the last minute to take any business and elevate it to the next level, such as what Don Cook's talking about with 7,000 people. We're more around 1,000 people. But you don't sit back and wait until the last minute. And then I'll use the same term that, you know, a form of extortion, terrorist, you know, that's not acceptable. So I'll turn it over to you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Ethan Linder, General Manager, Rio Downs Racetrack. If this were a typical year, we would already be in full-blown marketing mode for the Kentucky Derby. So typically on a March 1 deadline, all creative is done. Employees have begun to go through the application process because it's the kickoff of summer at Leodoso. It is the lead into, we have schooling races, Kentucky Derby, and then Memorial Day. And right now, all activity on all things Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks are a complete stop. We have not hired one employee. We have not posted one job. We talk about guests. We talk about horsemen. We're not talking about employees. We're talking about 50 or 100 servers, mutual tellers, everybody associated with this industry right now at Ruidoso is at a full stop. That includes the briskets we buy, the beer we buy, the Pepsi we buy. We do not, or currently are not planning on buying product because as we see, the current trends say that we will not be able to broadcast the Kentucky Derby. So at this point in time, my ad agencies are not working on ads. We're not buying ads with the local TV stations and radio stations, and we aren't hiring employees. We're not real sure what we're going to do next with regards to can we save Kentucky Derby if we were ever to find out that we could. We're pretty far along in the process. Everybody will be hiring for Memorial Day and trying to prepare for that. We're typically the first to get these employees, and we can hire everybody we need to take the wagering for Kentucky Derby. But at this point in time, We can't make that decision. We cannot hire 100 people and buy food to serve to 1,000 people when we're uncertain as to whether we'll even be able to host the event at all. So at this point in time, we have a significant amount of concerns as to how this will play out. And right now, Ruidoso is at a full stop until we have an idea of what this might look like in the next couple of weeks.
Mr. Chairman, with all that being said too, and I'd like to go on record saying that actions have consequences.
Absolutely.
And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, the thing I want to give you guys, you follow the Racing Act, right?
Correct.
To the T. I just want to get it on record that you are following it. And the last time it was heard a judge ruled that you were following
This is what we had to do.
Yes.
We're in compliance because.
you're in compliance, right? And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that. That every track here is following that, so.
Yes, sir. The judge was very clear. He said that the association that we use, the committee, was defined as an association. There is not a association in the state of New Mexico. The judge was very clear. There can be more than one association.
Absolutely.
And at that point in time, we used a committee that supported the barn area in 2023. And we'll evaluate the scenario for 2024.
And that's exactly what Mr. Cook's doing, same thing. And we are following the act, we are following the law, and that's what counts. Any questions for? Okay, thank you. Commissioner, can you take us into closed session, please? Yes, I can. Thank you. We're going to close session here.
I move that the commission enter into executive session to discuss pending litigation, licensing matters, and for deliberations in connection with legal proceedings as identified under item number 7 as a legal limit in accordance with NMRC 1978, sections 10-15-1H, 1, 3, and 7 of the Open Meetings Act. So, second, made.
The motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're now in closed session.
Recording. Recording in progress.
Listen.
Hello?
Hey, there you are. Okay, you're up now, buddy. Can
Yeah, I
you
can
hear
hear
me?
you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Dustin Dix, Director of Racing, Sunland Park Racetrack.
We have
Okay.
3 ratifications today. I could start with those. I
Okay.
kind of wanted to just give a brief update on how the weekend went. If you want me to do that before or after, or
Just give it right away.
well, also the stuff with Kentucky kind of. Fred said I can't speak on my own behalf because I work at Sunland Park, but I'm going to speak on my own behalf anyway, Fred. So since you're not here next to me. Once upon a time in 1991, a 19-year-old college student went to a racetrack, hit the trifecta in the Kentucky Derby, and then that kind of catapulted him into a career in horse racing. And that young man was me. So the racing fan ultimately is the one that, as we all stated before, that's going to be harmed by the actions, and potentially the next generation of fans, the next generation of employees even. So big ramifications. And here at Sunland Park, we have a Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks prep race. So we had thousands and thousands of fans that are expecting to come out and hopefully watch horses that ran here run in Kentucky. So it's the whole thing to me is I don't even want to put into words. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
The Sunland Derby weekend I thought went extremely well. We ran 10 races this year versus 11 last year. And we moved the race from the end of March to February 18th. Our on-track handle was up a little over 20,000. Our off-track was up over 200,000. We did over 3.1 million for the day. So we were up over last year with one less race and moving it. The weather was fantastic. And I think the local community here shows that you put a good product out there that people will come. So I was very encouraged by the day. Everything went very smoothly. The track surface, the times weren't crazy fast like they've been in the past. Track safety, we had one horse that was hauled off, and it went back to the barn of the trainer. So all in all, on every aspect, it was one of the more smoother of my 19 Sunland Derbies since I've been here. So we're really excited about the weekend, and we're really happy how everything turned out. I'll jump into our ratifications. Our first was a request of a ratification of approval to amend our 2024 post times to shorten our post time so everyone could get home to watch the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
Okay. I have any motion? Commissioner Smith. Second, Buffington, a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. I oppose. Okay. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our next request is a request for ratification to approve our 2024 post-time and wagering format, and that's to run 10 races on Sunland Derby, and we also added some wagers popular with thoroughbred players. We added some pick fours and some rolling daily doubles.
Okay, I need a motion to ratification.
So move, Commissioner Smith.
Second, Buffington, a motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. 116.
Our last, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Dustin Dix, Director Racing at Sunland Park. Our last request is a ratification to approve to amend our 2024 racing officials, and that was for Jory Shriver to be our clerk of scales, and she's doing an outstanding job.
I need a motion to approve.
So move, Commissioner Smith.
Second, Buffington, the motion and the second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and hopefully we'll get to see you soon. They're going to be pretty busy down here. We're 25 minutes to our first race, and as Mr. Heinrich said, we have Heisa here as well, so the show goes on.
Okay, well, congratulations on a great weekend. So
Thank you.
Hopefully there will be many more to come.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bob.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Rick Ball, Rivedos down racetrack. I'm here today to request approval of numerous items. I'd like to start with number one as approval for our book one condition book. which I had review by our committee. They had no input. Mr. Trejo and myself have looked at the book upon numerous occasions. And with that being said, I request approval.
Okay, I need approval for the 2024 commission book. Book number 1 from Fredos Announce.
So move, Commissioner Smith.
Second, Buffington. Got motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Move on to number 3, Bob.
Members of the commission request approval of the 2024 condition book officials. Owner Johnny Trotter, General Manager Ethan Linder, myself, and Racing Secretary James Moore.
Okay. Motion.
I'll make that motion. Billy goes second.
I got motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's move on to number 3.
Mr. Chairman, I'm requesting approval of our 2025-26 nomination blanks. I have reviewed the nomination blanks with your attorney, Mr. Bustamante, asked him to answer the questions. There's no changes on the blanks. I sent the blanks to my racing secretary. We had communication with Mary Barber. Mary Barber's reviewed their blanks as well. And as I'll say again, no changes on the blank. I can go through and vote.
We don't need legal. Why would it change?
No, yeah, there's a motion to approve them A3H, 3J. We'll do that all.
I say that. The motion. So move. Wait, okay, motion. Make a motion to approve 3J.
Move, Commissioner Smith.
Second, Buffington. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, number 4.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I sent into the commission our 2024 AARD safety agreement. And I'll be honest with you, I have patterned our safety agreement after Keeneland's safety agreement. The safety agreement covers a wide array of accountability on the trainers and the practicing vets. And the reason for, one of the reasons for the safety agreement, by what we did for our safety protocols for Labor Day weekend, it came to our attention that there were numerous forces on the backside that were running in our major races that had not been looked at by veterinary. Zero. None.
Okay, well, we will change that, right?
And this will have to be signed by the trainer, and it will have to be also signed by his practicing veterinarian. These forces are looked at, they're checked for soundness before they work, before they race, all the time.
That's
And
exactly.
it's going to be put into the Encompass system, and if you haven't signed, you don't participate. There'll be a box checked, and if you haven't signed and turned in your safety agreement, you have rights to read those stamps.
That's a really good practice there, and we encourage all the tracks to do somewhat the same thing. Because I know someone, they every single horse is checked their stuff, so we are on the right track, and that really holds the retail fire there. So we encourage, let's say, Farmington.
Yes, sir.
Same thing. Let's do that because we have to look at the safety of the horse.
Agreed.
So, just FYI for this commission, another practice that was going to put in place is that all quarter horses participating at those stands will be chipped. During our safety protocols for Labor Day weekend, we found that some horses were leaving that were supposed to remain in the grounds. We weren't able to prove it at that time, but with chips, we'll be able to prove it.
That sounded like a ankle monitor.
So, I mean, the chicks in the vehicle, where the
Chipped by AQHA standards.
and you can tell what they left the track with that chip.
We scan them in and scan them out. We have the in and out slips that our security has in place, uses. But our security is directed not to touch those horses. Because if you lift a horse and that horse comes up with a bad test, yes, it's fine. Yes. So that there's standards now where if you follow AQHA standards, we can't tell you where to put your chip. But the horse will have to be chipped and it go on its papers and verified of the location of the chip. And
But it's gotta be mentioned on the papers, right?
yes.
If they can't find it where it's mentioned, then we have a problem. Right. Another thing that I want to mention to other tracks, here before they get started, I'd like to have this, before the first race date is soil samples of your track itself. On all that goes Sunray, everyone. And let's get all that and to the commission. We want to see what they are. And this is more of a safety thing than anything else. That way we have it on record. Here's what we have and here's what's going to happen. But we need to have that. Okay, we need to have this in our files. I know there's not a rule on it, but I'm just asking you all to work with us for your safety and our safety.
Commissioners, we'll be glad to send you, yes, I came in and did the ground penetrating radar. And then they did a comparison test and all that. We'll send you that as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. And anything else that we can get, because we need all the ammunition we can get from you all. And this is to help you all. That way it's in your files. Here's what it is. Someone says something, well, here's what we have. And that's helping you all, it's helping the industry. So I think we'll make a rule for that or whatever. But right now, we're just asking for their cooperation on those and moving forward. But appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member, Chairman Sanchez, members of the commission, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to put on the record the fact that we did go into closed session for a few moments and that the only thing discussed in closed session was my advice to the commission to immediately return to open session. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Criminal sanctions are very well aware of chipping. My boss has me chipped.
Say you're chipped, huh? Oh, it shows on your papers, you're chipped down.
And don't tell us where.
Chairman Sanchez, Commissioners, Steve Dudak from Sunray Park. Sunray is expected to approval of the 2024 racing officials.
Okay. I got it. Second, a motion and a second, in favor? Opposed?
Sunray Park respectfully requests for approval to amend our 2024 wagering format, where it got approval from the tote that they can do a 20-cent wager amount on Sunday 6. So.
No.
And with Commissioner Smith.
Second, Buffington. Let's see, I'll say. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Can I borrow a sign?
Yes, James. Thank you all. I think that is everything on our agenda. And, we are all dismissed. We're done. Thank you. Thank you.
Recording